I am Roy Arends. I work for ICANN. I assume most of you have heard about ICANN, so I'm not going to go into that. I assume most of you have heard about DNS. That's the thing you blame when the network doesn't work. And this talk is about the root KSK rollover. We did it once before. We're going to do it again. And this talk is about that. So I would like to see some hands. Who has not heard of DNSSEC? Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Sorry? Oh, brilliant. Okay. I'm not going to go into the details. Basically, it's a hierarchical PKI, a public key cryptography. You can compare it to a certificate authority where you have a root CA. That's basically the KSK. Key signing key is managed by ICANN. That's where I work. If you go on YouTube, you can actually watch the processes that we do during a ceremony. So we have a ceremony 4 times a year, and it's about 4 hours long. It's incredibly boring because it's tedious, but if you have a cryptographic background and you're interested in processes, it's absolutely fantastic. If you ever want to understand how you probably should do a transparent HSM process, HSM hardware security module, you can see everything there. Everything is online as well. You can actually visit it if you want to. You have to fly to either the East or the West Coast in the US. But yeah, sorry for the sidetrack. We do all these things during a ceremony. Why should you care about this specific talk? DNSSEC validation relies on a root trust anchor. That's basically the KSK. It's a cryptographic public key. The root has been signed since 2010. That's an awful long time ago in internet time. We did the first rollover in 2018. More about that in a minute. An automated key rollover depends on ROC 5011 processes. This is a planned routine event. It is highly planned. We've done this for a couple of years now. I'll show you that in a second. And your job is basically, if you manage resolvers, make sure that they follow along with the process. Now, what is rolling over? It's nothing else than the old key signs the new key, so the new key can be trusted. That's all there is to it. Right? In detail, it's more complex, but from a high-level perspective, that's it. Old key signs the new key, now you trust the new key, get rid of the old key, etc. The plan is to do this every 3 years. Now, as you remember, the last time we did it was 2018, so what happened? In 2016, we started to prepare for this rollover. We generated, during one of these ceremonies that I just mentioned, KSK 2017. 2017, the year that we roll over. So 2017 itself, the first rollover with KSK 2017. But when we did some metrics, it turns out we can do some metrics to see what is configured here and there. We got an incredible amount of noise. Some resolvers would validate, but didn't tell us which key they have. Some resolvers did not validate at all, but happily told us what key they have. Some would have the new key, some would have the old key, some would have no keys at all, but told us they are validating. So the data was all over the place. But in 2017, we decided to investigate and delay it to 2018. So 2018, the first rollover with the old KSK, 2017. That was a success. Right? Yes, there were some hiccups here and there, but the good thing, at least for ICANN, or at least from my perspective, the folks who had some errors were clearly asleep at the wheel, right? We have gone all over the place, throughout the globe, through various meetings, including similar meetings like this, to talk about the KSK 2017 rollover in 2018. So there was a success. So in 2020, 2018 was the last rollover. 3 years later, it's 21. We need to prepare for that, 2020. So we started to do the prep for the 2021 roll. Something happened in 2020, which is COVID. And the TCRs, those are the trusted community representatives. These are people that fly to a ceremony to observe that everything is done correctly. They were not allowed to fly. And the one thing you don't want to do is critical key infrastructure things with no observers. So we decided to postpone it to the year after. So we started in 21 for the 21 roll. Still COVID. So then 22, resumption of normal operations. We wanted to make sure that everyone still knows what they were doing. We didn't want to do immediate big changes, right? New keys introduced or whatnot. So we stuck with the standard key rollover ceremonies for a year. So we have face-to-face ceremonies again, everything went well. And then in 2023, we generated KSK 2023, right, for the second rollover. The HSM that we used, all of a sudden, a few weeks after we generated the keys, we got a message from the vendor. These machines will be end of life in a couple of years. Maybe, I don't remember how many years, maybe 1 year or 2 years. But the KSK should be there for a couple of years. And HSMs are notoriously vendor specific. That means is if you want to export a key, and it's not a general standard like PKCS11, the way you export it, or if it's in FIPS mode, that's an American standard, that means that there are certain conditions where you cannot export the key from the box. If you have all of these things, it's just better to generate a new key with a new HSM, which is what we did 2 years ago. We generated the key, that was a big success. And then on the 11th of January last year, 2025, we published the KSK 2024 in the root zone. And we saw in our statistics that by the 10th of February, which is exactly 30 days, that's an ROC 5011 number, 30 days after the resolver first observes the new key signed by the old key, ready to trust it. Why 30 days? It gives us a couple of weeks to revoke the key if we need to. That's a safe. If you've seen it for 30 days, it's safe. That's the idea. October the 11th, this year, KSK 2024 first use. Right, what could possibly go wrong? Right? It's a Sunday. We didn't choose specifically a Sunday, but the 11th of October, you saw the 11th before that as well, 11th January, is because it's 10 days after, it's the first day after 10 days of a slot that the signature is valid over KSK. Anyway, so the whole idea is if you want to make the gods laugh, show him your plans. All right, so how does RC 5011 work? I said before a new key signed by the old key, but this is a little bit more detail. New KSK is published, current KSK signs the key set. There are other things in the key set, like the zone signing key. The zone signing key signs the actual data in the zone. But the key signing key signs the key set. After a while, the resolvers trust the new KSK, and after a while, the new KSK signs the set of keys. And then after a while, the old KSK will have the revoke bit set. That means that resolvers can now safely flush the key, the old key, and then after a while, we stop publishing it in the root zone. That's all there is to it. There are actual dates there. On January 11th, we published it in the root zone. Last year, February 10th, it's adopted. October 11th this year, that's why I put it in red. Important date. I have a big fat arrow in a minute, so it's just to make sure that you remember the October the 11th. And then January 11th next year, KSK will have the revoke bit set. All these things, by the way, are all generated already. There's nothing that in the ceremonies you have to prepare for this. So we get together every 3 months, right? All of these things are already generated. And after a while, the old KSK will be removed from the set of keys. That's in March 22nd of 2027. All right, that's the big red arrow. Important, October the 11th, please. This time you can blame the DNS if things go wrong. The timeline, nice little graph. We are here. The 2-year propagation period is almost over. I'm going to talk in a little bit about the KSK 2027 because that's even more special than this one. If you want to have a look at where all of this stuff is stored, we have a site, iana.org/dnssec/files. There you can find all the key files. But if everything is done correctly, if you use bind or unbound and you use the default settings, they do RFC 5011 out of the box, they have a trust anchor out of the box, and if you keep the software out of date, it will have the latest trust anchors. I can go into specifics here, but I'm going to leave this on the screen. This is what you do if you have bind. Download the slides if you want to have proper instructions. Because I understand not everyone is as big fan of DNS as I am. This is what you do for unbound. You just use a command, you can see trust anchors listed. This number here, 38696, that's the new key. And you will see it in the previous slide, 38696, that's the identifier of the new key. If you don't have that, you'll be in trouble. This is for the not resolver. Not is this the check resolver daemon. Where's it's there it is, 38696. You should see it in there as well. You can do dig at root servers at let's say a.rootservers.net, and you ask for the DNS key for the root. You will get something similar to that. You will see also key tag 38696. This is for PDNS recursor. You can check if your software is up to date. This slide gives an overview of the previous things you've seen. If you don't operate a resolver, go to the guy in your organization that operates these resolvers and let him check it. All right, in summary, the 11th of October, KSK roll this year. Subsequently, every 3 years. So we're going to do it again in 2029, 2032, 2035. The ZSK rolls every 3 months. That happens automatically. You don't have to do anything for that. All right. Then I was asked to add a little bit about an algorithm role. That's your fault. So what's an algorithm role? Currently, we use RSA. RSA is a standard RSA algorithm, not algorithm. RSA algorithm for the keys, as the key algorithm. Sorry, the idea is to use a different algorithm, and that's ECDSA P256 SHA-256, or just ECDSA. There's a problem though, because there's a specific thing in the DNSX standard, in that you have to have a signature from all key algorithms. That means that if you change the ZSK, right, to ECDSA, you need to change the KSK at the same time. The problem with DNS is that a DNS message is only kind of small, so big, right? And you need to push there all the key information in there. So the idea is that we shorten the zone signing key temporarily to 1536 bits. Now, it's a big no-no in cryptographic circles that you shorten the key, right? Every time you do something with the key, you should make it bigger or the same, but not smaller. But in this case, we have to. And keep in mind, it's for signing and not for encryption, if that makes any sense. The data in there doesn't have to be secure forever. It just has to be secure for the period of time that you use a signature. So the key will be reduced, the ZSK will be reduced to 1536 bits, and so that it will fit into a 1232 byte message. All right. That's really it. I think you got 2 minutes left for questions. And thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, there are. I have one. Given the history of the plan was this and the reality was that, have you consulted the gods about the upcoming ones?
Oh yeah, every time.
Okay, okay. Just let us know how that worked.
Yeah.
Or we will see it anyway.
Food for thought for another presentation in a year.
Yes, I get it depends on which gods you want to please.
Yes.
What you do is different. Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.